Hello and welcome everybody to the Google Digital Garage. Today you'll have myself, Joe Kellam-Muldoon, delivering the training session. We'll also have the well and truly versed in the Google Digital Garage, Annie, as well, who is going to be moderating in the side here. So do feel free to introduce yourself, say hello, maybe introduce what your business is, why you're here. And what we're amazing about this is that if you can do this, this will just give me ample opportunity to be able to sort of shoehorn your business into today's presentation, some of the examples, and hopefully give you a bit more of a custom, I suppose, training session today with the Google Digital Garage. Before we get in, I'm just going to cover a little bit of housekeeping. Somewhere approximately here, you're going to have the refresh button. If you have any problems with sound, or maybe it looks like the presentation is being dubbed over with my voice moving and maybe the sound coming out at a slightly different time, any video or audio issues, basically hit that button for refresh. This should resolve any issues. If you'd like to get involved in today's conversation, maybe ask some questions or some comments, in the top corner here, you'll see there is a sign in button. If there isn't a sign in button, it means you're already signed in and you can get involved in the comments and get asking questions throughout today's session. Throughout today's session, there's going to be 3 different opportunities for you to be able to ask questions. They're going to be approximately a third of the way through each one, but do feel free to ask questions at any point. We've got a nice little moderator doc, where Annie will basically push the questions through to me, and I'll be able to see those questions and basically pick the questions and answer them as best as I can. So throughout today's session, we'd love you to get involved. The more questions you've got, the more comments you've got, the more interactive it is. Not just the more enjoyable it is for me, but additionally, it's also more enjoyable for you because you'll be able to get a little bit more interaction. You'll be able to take more away from today's session. So without any further ado, we're going to drop into today's session. Today's session is going to be broken down, like most Google Digital Garage sessions, into 3 core parts. The first one is going to be understanding your online presence and your personal brand. The second one is going to be build your brand online. How can we do this? What things can we do to expand our brand online? And last of all, increase your online visibility. Essentially, this just means now you've got 3 key parts to take away with you. I would recommend making some notes. Remember, today's presentation is going to be up till tomorrow at 12. Throughout today's presentation, I will try and sort of hit you in the direction of different presentations that you might think are relevant to this. Just based on what this presentation is, I would also say it's probably worth having a look at getting started with analytics, so you can start to look outside of just YouTube and start to bring all of this information together. Also have a look at digital marketing strategy, writing for social media, and strategy for social media. Social media strategy, sorry, the other way around. Essentially, these are sort of like the 3 or 4 building blocks of the digital marketing area of the Google Digital Garage content. If you're here for this one, I would recommend maybe jumping over to those, because some of the stuff we cover in this, they go into a little bit more detail in those ones. So please do have a look. The next thing we're going to have a consideration for is one-to-one mentorings. So we have an amazing opportunity available for every single person who is from the UK, is a small business or charity who wants to expand their knowledge. Essentially, they have an opportunity to sign up for one-to-one free mentoring with a Google Digital Garage. You'll get a Google Digital Garage mentor, and it's very easy to sign up. Go to g.co/UK mentoring. Once you've gone to here, it will take you through to a link. It will take 2 minutes to sign up. Once you've signed up, you'll be able to sign up to anything from maybe getting your business visible online, maybe a digital marketing, maybe analytics assistance. But the whole idea of this is to expand your knowledge. We're not here to fix problems for you. So what I would recommend is, if you're on today's call, if you're going through anything today, if you're maybe struggling with analytics, get as far as you physically can, or get as much information out of it as you can, then come to the question to the table when you do the one-to-one of, well, what can I take more from analytics? This is what I've done so far, which then means you've gotten as far as you can physically get, which means then you've got the opportunity to go even further rather than come with some baseline questions, which will be covered either way. So the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding your online presence and personal brand. So your online presence and personal brand is basically everything to do with you online. So this literally means everything to do with you online. So this could be a website that you've interacted with. This could be comments you've left. This could be absolutely anything that your name or you as an individual are attached to. What we have to do about this is essentially consider this in the first instance, because your online presence includes everything. So here we've got content. This could be created by you. These could be photos. These could be statuses that you've put online from the year dot. So, for example, I joined Facebook when I was at university because I went on a snowboarding trip and they put all the pictures on Facebook. I wasn't that bothered about Facebook then, but the only way I could access all these pictures was via Facebook. So I joined in something like 2000 and I think it was 2009, possibly. I could be totally wrong with those dates. But I know when I started working in education, I sort of checked myself before I wrecked myself, as I do like to say, and just went through my Facebook feeds, went through my statuses, looked at some pictures and decided I either have to delete a lot of stuff, not because it was untoward, just because it was maybe a bit silly, a bit immature, but it was part of my history. So instead of deleting everything, I changed my name on Facebook. I opened up a private browser window and a normal window, logged into the normal one, and then changed settings so that the only thing that was available was my images for my what's it called? Your Facebook default picture and the background and my name, which was no longer the same as what it was before. So straight away, that simple little bit of touch it up is an easy way of just controlling your online status. And then I use Twitter and LinkedIn for my professional side, where I consider what I post. But consider also that just because you've posted stuff doesn't mean that people haven't tagged you in stuff. So, for example, multiple fancy dress outfits. If you look at different things through local modern history, where we've had different celebrities dressing up as certain things years ago, which has now come back to bite them in the backside. So do have a look at content that you're tagged in. These could be articles. These could be comments just on a post saying, Joe, look at this, lol. Or it could be photos that someone's tagged you in. Either way, all of these are now amazing opportunities for you to be able to go through your history and tidy this up. A really good analogy for this that I quite like is footprints in the sand. In the whole of your past, from the point we're talking now to the point when computers first started, you have walked along a digital beach, say. And what you can now do is sort of go along that digital beach and just flick through your presence online and essentially wipe out the footprints that you don't want people to see, or that you think, actually, let's have a little think about that. Do I need that to be there? Just wipe it out. But what's amazing now is now we've talked about this and we've looked at your history, we can now plan your footprints moving forward. And these can be golden footprints with idea of things that you can do. These could be articles that you're going to write, content that you're going to write, images, locations that you can tag yourself in, events that you can tag yourself in. So now your online presence isn't just included what you thought was the history, you're now planning this for the future. And your internet activity, cookies, browsing history, online purchases, all of this is often things that they don't consider either. So do have a look through like your Amazon, have a look for your eBay, and just have a little flick through to see what it is maybe you could tidy up, or do you even need this anymore? For example, Google, when you go onto Google, you sign in through Chrome, it stores your entire internet history until you choose to delete it. And this is available online as well. So do have a look at this and just see, is this something that you need? Is this part of your life that you need to store? Or could you make a clean slate? So little tips for doing this yourselves. So review your privacy settings. Go to Facebook, for example, go to settings, privacy settings, and literally tick a box on your normal browser. Go to your incognito browser or your in private browser. This is what I would recommend. And tick the boxes and see what impact that has on your privacy settings. The same with Instagram, the same with Twitter, the same with LinkedIn. But what's amazing about this is the more that you review them, the more you can tweak them to suit your exact needs. Once you've done this, take that step further. Delete your old profiles, delete old posts, even type in your name. You might think, well, how can this help? A really good example of this is once I had a Photobucket account, which was a storage for photos from your phone. And I had an old phone. It just about had a camera. It had the internet. And it backed up my photos automatically. But what I didn't know is that those photos were backed up automatically into a public Photobucket. And don't get me wrong, there was no pictures that were particularly bad. There were silly pictures. But when I went to the school, to work at a school, I then Googled myself, found this Photobucket account. And, oh, yeah, I remember Photobucket. A bit like MySpace, but not as social. And then clicked on it, and it had 37,000 views. And I was like, 37,000 people have viewed my photos. I didn't even know these photos were viewable. So straight away, that was a potentially dangerous opportunity for me to have pictures of documents, pictures of passports, pictures of silly things that I've done on nights out, maybe a bit of raucous behavior at a party or something like that. But at the end of the day, these are all things that are open to risk if you don't do this. And then scan third-party content as well. It just means then have a look and search for yourself. Use tools like deceit.me, or even just Google your own name with little quotes in it so that it searches your name precisely. Then put the areas that you're in, like the local area, areas of interest that you are involved in. Maybe use your nicknames that you've used online, because these are all still linked back to you. Spend this time doing this. This is worth it considerably, because this could be the difference between a contract or a job if you forget a video or find a video or there's some silly content that you've been tagged in. Does an online presence become a personal brand? Does anybody want to jump in maybe and put what they think the difference is? It's something that a lot of people sort of ask the question of, because there's so many different potential variant options on this. A personal brand identifies who you are and how you differentiate from your peers. So if you reflect on some well-known brands, so for example, it could be that when we think of Oprah, she is an individual, she's a talk show host, she's an actress, she's an owner of her own product company. Her options carry so much weight that it's sort of like, if she released a book, for example, you would know it would probably sell out. So as an individual, her name is Oprah. But at the same time, she has a lot of knowledge. Anyone you think of as a celebrity, again, is a personality, but they're also a brand. And they can offer leverage their brand. If you think of someone like Holly Willoughby, like she has fashion brands, she has, I think she has some form of involvement in makeup. I think it's Maybelline possibly. But at the same time, that means that she has to consider what she does in the real world, because it could impact on her persona online. So the difference between a brand is a personal brand is a product, is your skills and your strength. A personal brand is how you represent yourself and differentiate yourself from people around you. And a strong personal brand allows you to build your career off what you've done before that point. So consider these points when you're developing your brand. How can you match these two together? So when we're looking at that, here we can see we've got Sarah Ritchie. From the pictures alone, she's in the gym. She's fairly well built. She's clearly got a bit of knowledge here. She's doing some running, I think it is, or some sort of exercise in the mountains. She's demonstrating that her in real life is clearly a fitness buff. But Sarah is trained as a professional health and wellness coach in 2010. Since then, Sarah has started vlogging, doing fitness videos, doing workouts online. Now she gets paid by fitness brands to wear clothing and use their equipment, because there's enough people involved with her. There's enough people following her that they've seen them to have an impact on their audience. Hence, they are now a brand. Sheena initially started a blog in 2016 to collate all the food and images that she was posting about on her social media. After setting up the blog, she quickly grew interest, and she started to receive questions and letters of her fans requesting recommendations. Since then, Sheena regularly receives invites from local restaurants to try food in return for review or blog, because the impact that that person has is now affecting footfall, is now affecting people's opinions about certain restaurants, about certain food, about certain outlets. So straight away, you can now see how these people started something that they had a passion for, and how it escalated, how it grew, how it evolved into something that they now have a passion for and can make a living off, or at least can make a side hustle off. But straight away, this is because they cared so much about something that they wanted to share their knowledge. But anything they now do on here is also a representation of their brand, because it will be scrutinized. It will be looked at by more than just their friends and family. So when we're having a look at this, 69% of employers conduct social media checks. It's just that easy now. Go to Google, type in someone's name, And if you've got their name and it's not a particularly common name like John Smith, you're going to come up with their profiles quite easily. Or you spend 5 minutes searching and you come across their profiles. You can now base a decision on what their profiles are like, what they do, what they talk about. Are they left wing? Are they right wing? Do they have some interesting viewpoints? Do they align with your company's viewpoints? No. Next in the no pile. That is how simple conducting a social media check can be, and how easy the no pile can be added to if you don't consider this. 89% of consumers aged 33 to 54 trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So straight away, when you're thinking about this, if you're essentially building this relationship, you're essentially building sort of like a virtual friendship with this person online who's writing these reviews, who's recommending these different places. You go to one of those places, straight away, they're putting their trust in you. They're believing your brand. They're expanding their knowledge and expanding their life, potentially, like as in different locations, different things to do based on your recommendation. So straight away, you've got to consider that this is a level of trust has been had. So when we're then writing these recommendations, when we're posting this content online, we have to consider the impact that can have on people. So straight away, this also means that a lot of people are coming back to you, which means you need to consider what you're posting online. Can't just be out of the middle of nowhere and suddenly you're a crazy left-wing person who's started to talk about whatever, when normally you don't talk about that. That's not what people come to you for. It's fine if you are talking about left-wing stuff and people are coming to you for this, but we have to consider is what is your audience coming for? All we have to consider is, will this impact you as a brand? A goal gives your purpose a brand. Define what your goal is. So when we see these pictures here, we can see we've got multiple pictures. We've got multiple potential that people could see just from glancing at these pictures. So straight away, we've got the first one here, Sarah. She's in the gym. She's got a big smile on her face, a little bit sweaty, but she looks rather satisfied with herself, like she's just done a good workout. The second one, we've got personal training and boot camps, and then reviews from their clients. So quite professional. And then the last one, we've got clearly someone who's clearly into fitness, well-created content, good content, but also showing a little bit of the real world, some drinks, some food, some fun being had while actually doing training. So what is it you think these people are trying to achieve? What are or what is the goals of these personal trainers? The first one is satisfaction. That picture screams satisfaction. Good workout, finished. This could be you. The next one, quality. They've got personal training and boot camps and people saying exactly how good they are just below it, which straight away will hopefully align with these two to make you make a decision. Well, do I get a personal trainer? Do you think these boot camps will be any good? Your eye naturally goes from left to right down. Well, what do our clients say? Read our reviews. So all of a sudden, you've then got what people want to read about, the reviews underneath. You can click on one of those pictures, read more, and then potentially book on or maybe try it out. And then the last one is credibility. Straight away, we can see here that we've got a little bit of credibility around this. He's humanizing this. C is basically an option to go. He's enjoying himself. He motivates you. He's an intense personal trainer, but he's also humanizing the experience. It's showing that, you know, God forbid you can go out for some food and have some carbs while also having a personal life, while also training, while doing some boxing. Here's some of my clients. But what's great about this, it shows you that actually it doesn't mean you have to destroy your life. You can still have one. But that's what's great about this, is that each one is trying to achieve a different goal. Each one is attaching themselves to a different audience. Adding your goal to your profile makes a difference as well. So here we can see on the left, we've got Fatima Allen. She's on LinkedIn. She pays for gold membership and a sales-focused individual who enjoys a dynamic atmosphere of working in a team. Some decent little bit of content, but really, what does that say for someone looking for you? Regional sales manager. So you're going to get a little bit of traction if people are looking for regional sales manager, maybe the word dynamic atmosphere. But again, realistically, what are you looking for here? What is she trying to achieve? So by fleshing this out a little bit, by adding a little bit more content, sales development leader scaling global biz dev teams to deliver quality inbound and outbound pipeline to closure. So straight away now, we've got more keywords. We've got more content in there. We've got more knowledge in there. We're sharing more about her. Sales development leader who is passionate about scaling global business development teams and empowering them to deliver quality inbound and outbound pipelines to closure. I also the founder and director of SDR Secrets, LinkedIn video channel, which provides success stories and top tips created for SDRs for SDRs. Do I know what SDRs are? No. But if you're in that industry and you're using these keywords, now she is telling you what she is. She is a sales development leader. She also runs her own SDR Secrets LinkedIn videos. So when you're now looking for someone and maybe you've got 2 or 3 people as options to approach or 2 or 3 people of options to hire, one of them has got a successful LinkedIn channel doing videos with thousands of people following her, thousands of interactions, because she's spending that time to push herself, or someone that doesn't. Now you can start to see, because she's adding her goal, she's adding that onto her profile, she's adding more content, it opens up the world. It lets more keywords be searched. It lets her be more visible online. So we've not had any questions. We've had a few hellos. So thank you very much from Ella and Riaz. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for saying hello. Remember, throughout today's session, we've got 2 more amazing opportunities for you to get involved. Thank you for joining the presentation, sort of getting involved so far. But remember, the more questions you ask, the more you're going to take away from this. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is building your brand online. So first, decide your goals. So what are they going to be? Are you going to find a new job opportunities? Are you finding more followers? Is it you need to find new clients? Either way, all of these are amazing opportunities for you to decide, actually, what is it that I can do here? How can I help people? And how can I make these goals happen? So once you know what you're going to do, you can then expand upon this. How can you define this? So I want to present myself online like a professional because I want to have impact on people searching for me. Or I will know I have been successful when I've got a job, when I've had 5 interviews. So it's showing the impact of what you're doing. But write down these sentences. If you've not done this already, if you've not spent this time doing this, please do write these down. Leave a blank, come back to it. But we want you to be able to think about this, because the more you spend on this, the more you start thinking about, right, what are your goals? What do I want people to perceive me as? How will I know when I've been successful? All of these will start to then drive detail. And the devil is in the detail here. An example of this could be to find new job opportunities as a chef near Liverpool. So now you know this information. Is it that you start to write content on your social media about maybe places that you've worked in Liverpool, maybe reviews, get some feedback from different chefs that you've worked for, any prestigious establishments or any establishments that you work for? Write that content up. Say on your profile, looking for work as a professional chef in Liverpool. So you're literally telling people what you want. When people are now typing in chef in Liverpool, your keywords should align with yours. So that extra little bit of detail means you've decided on what your goal is going to be. Now we can start to write a little bit more content around that. Find more followers of oboe enthusiasts, pretty niche. But again, if that's what you want to do, start searching on LinkedIn. Start searching on Facebook, oboe enthusiast. Even just the word oboe. See what groups are there. Which ones are maybe in your local area? Which ones are in your vicinity? Maybe northwest, southwest, south, north. If it's that niche that there's not a lot of information about it, you might need to start expanding outside of that. Or find new clients to buy your pottery aprons. So straight away, how are we going to do this? Start writing down lists of ways you can do it. Search Facebook groups. Search LinkedIn. Search Google. Search for local pottery events. All of a sudden, you've now decided what your goal is going to be. How are you going to put your best foot forward? So next, build out your target audience. So now you've decided what it is you want to do. You have to decide who they are. So who do I need to reach to make my goal come true? So start building out your target audience. So maybe new page, target audience. You might want to use words like persona, avatar, target audience, ideal clients. There's loads of different wordings that you may see online for this and different guides and different things. But again, I would recommend having a look at the writing for social media and social media strategy. The reason I say this is because we spend a decent bit of time on this area, which means then the decent bit of time should be able to build out this information. Because initially, you're just going to have maybe a think about this. You're going to go, right, well, if I'm looking for Oboe enthusiasts who are like me, is age a thing? Is gender a thing? Right, location is definitely going to be a thing. They need to like oboe, they need to dislike guitar or whatever, and then we need to find that. But on the flip side, if you're finding new clients and you're looking on LinkedIn, there's going to be a certain age bracket of people who maybe have the decisions to be able to buy you in as a service. So age is going to matter. Is it that there's a general gender differentiation in that sector? Could that matter? Do you want to travel across the country, or actually you're looking for the Northwest, or you're looking for the Southeast? Again, using these things to break down this information. The more information you build of your target audience, the more direct you can find this target audience. And then you can try and get more people like this target audience. If you're not sure what it is, again, have a look at those sections. Essentially, this is all the demographic information, all the sort of interesting bits of information that's going to flesh out and build you a target audience to be able to develop your online knowledge of what they are. Tools you can use to do this would be, for example, Audience Finder. This is a really good starting point and it's free. It's UK-based analytics, the UK culture landscape, and especially useful if you're going to run through this, hoping to run events through your brand. This will basically break down the demographics in the different areas to give you a bit of core base knowledge around maybe what sort of demographic is in that area that you're looking at. Instagram for Business, Page Insights on Facebook. Again, both of these are just business-based knowledge. So if you're on Instagram, you can change it to a business page. If you're on Facebook and you make a business page, you'll get analytics back from this that essentially are free to everyone, similar analytics to say LinkedIn to Instagram, but essentially it'll tell you how many people have been to your page. A rough demographic information of the average person. So it could be 60% female, 40% men. It could be 80% 20 to 30, 20% 40 plus. But now what you know is, right, if that's the amount of people that come to my Facebook page, do I need to start making content for females who are between 20 and 30? When beforehand, maybe you were talking about stereotypically content that's maybe for a bit older, so you're not getting great engagement. Now use this information to create content that's going to be more matched towards that particular target audience. Specialist platforms. So sometimes rather than looking around and sort of building a mountain and thinking they will come, sometimes it's worth actually going, well, what could I do here? Right. I want to meet fellow writers. I want an audience of writers looking to meet up. So I could go on Facebook, I could go on all these different platforms, but there's also a website called meetup.com, which is basically that entire concept wrapped in a nutshell. If I'm trying to sell products online, if I'm trying to sell homemade jewelry, well, sell homemade jewelry is my goal. The audience is people looking to buy homemade jewelry. Again, you can still find these groups on Facebook and find these areas where you can engage with, but Etsy.com is an entire marketplace designed for homemade jewelry, designed to be sold directly to consumer. So again, Etsy.com. Finding building businesses, you could go on Google, you could go on Google Maps, or you could go mybuilder.com. So straight away when we're looking at this, sometimes finding these specialist platforms can save you time and effort because you're literally going straight to the source, and this is why these platforms were made. So spend this little bit of time maybe also researching, are there websites that fall into your niche already? Essentially, the rule of thumb is choose a platform where your audience is most engaged. But a good shortcut is checking for these specialist platforms because then you can promote yourself in front of the right people. So when you're thinking of like Etsy, not on the high street, Facebook Marketplace, amazing places for these. So start to just build this bit of knowledge and make sure you're putting yourselves in the places you can to optimize where your market is and who your market is. So which words describe your brand? So from this list, maybe have a consideration for like 3 words that represent your brand. Maybe list or invent your own words. So some of these might help you in the early stages, but really what you want from this, it could even be a cheeky bit of market research you could do. Maybe make a Google form, maybe an Office form, maybe a type form or a Survey Monkey or many other type of forms that you can make, and ask and literally post it on your social media. How would you describe our business in 3 words? Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're just trying to build our online presence and see what your target audiences who are currently out there already think of you as 3 words. Maybe put it in a Twitter. You can just write a comment. If you have it as a post, then you can start to sort of bring this information together as analytics and a bit less manual. But the reason we're doing this is that you want to learn about this. You want to be able to understand what your brand is. For example, I like to see myself as professionally informal. It's not 3 words, and witty we'll go with. But the reason I say this is because when I'm delivering presentations, I don't like to deliver a presentation like this. Which words describe your brand? Pick 3. Next slide. Pick 3. Next slide. Because you would be bored. So I try and make the content as interactive as possible. Try and make it so you get involved. Try and actually show some emotion rather than just talking through a slide. But the reason for this is it keeps you engaged. The reason you want to have words that keep your audience engaged is because you want them to stay engaged. You want them to take this journey with you. So if you're not already doing this, maybe the content you're posting isn't ideal towards what you want your audience to sort of perceive you as. Could we tweak some of your content so you've started to move towards this? So people can say trustworthy. Well, how could I do that? Maybe post some content about reviews. Maybe get some video content from your best clients who could do you a video review. All of a sudden, people start watching these videos. Maybe this is what's going to react with your audience as well. So ways we can have a look into this as well is start to create a handle and a biography. So we can see here, we've got customer service manager from Manchester, interested in content marketing opportunities. Open University graduate in English literature, regularly contributes to BuzzFeed and HuffPost community. New ideas and opportunities, email Fatima Allen. So what's amazing about this is what she's done is essentially break apart what people want to know about you in a condensed amount of time. So on your profiles at the top where you've got your bio, you've only got so much space to interest people, only got so much space to change someone's mind. So what is your offer? You're offering customer service, managers from Manchester who are interested in content marketing opportunities. So you're literally saying, I'm interested in new opportunities in content marketing or customer service management. Straight away, you're putting your cards on the table. If you are a person looking for this, this is what I want. Okay, I like the sound of that. I am interested in a customer service manager from Manchester with an interest in content marketing. That's a perfect fit for the job role that I'm looking for, actually. What else do you have? Well, expertise, university graduate in English literature. So you've got a degree in English literature. Big tick. Regular contributor to BuzzFeed and HuffPost. Maybe have a little look, have a see what they write about. But the thing is that people who are in the context of digital marketing, people in the context of marketing or content marketing will know what these 2 things are, HuffPost and BuzzFeed. And they'll go, quite interesting. New ideas or opportunities, email fatimaAllen@gmail.com. So this really should be a call to action. So when we're looking at this call to action, this now means that someone can physically go, I like the sound of this. I like the sound of this. How do I get a hold of this person? Call to action. Content consistency builds trust as well. So really simple, quite obvious, but unfortunately, not obvious enough. People will often sort of get mixed messages or mixed content from what they actually want to deliver. So here we can see the health doctor. A nice bit of brown toast with some cucumber, some nuts, some radish, some tomato, some lime, some orange, possibly some tzatziki, bit of pita bread, some cheese and yogurt possibly. But all of those things, plus the green leaves around it, match up with that health doctor. I love cakes. Do you? A man playing a guitar. I'm a bit confused why a man is playing a guitar when I'm talking about cakes. John Breadmaker looks like a man potentially. He could be called John, but he's definitely making bread because he's got fresh dough balls. So straight away, you've got this information. You've started to align up your brand. Then spend the extra little bit of time doing this. So, is the relevant photo what we've just talked about? Have we got a relevant handle? Or have we built this brand enough that the handle becomes its own? But if not, in the early stages, sometimes it's worth considering, could your handle have something to do with the content that you're talking about? The content reflecting the offering. So if you're talking about food, you're trying to push here, London vegan, recipe creator, get my cookbook now, fitness and Muay Thai fee fun. Oh, like fee five fun. Find me on YouTube. So straight away, London vegan recipe creator, you're like, this is brilliant, living that vegan life. You look at her content, it lines up with that. Imagine what would happen if all of a sudden she just went, boom, steak on my post, and she's eating a full flat iron steak and going, this is amazing. What have I done these years of vegan life? Why have I not just eaten meat? What is going to happen here? What could quite easily happen is she's literally mentioned the word vegan in the top 2 things on her content. She's got a load of content, YouTube, book that's probably going to be vegan as well. So imagine the flip-flop if you just went bang, a piece of steak. The reason I'm saying this is because this could create a reaction, could easily have a lot of followers who are following her for vegan reasons go, I'm not interested. And this is one of the reasons we have to be consistent with our content. When we're talking about this, consistency builds trust. If you've posted 100 vegan meals, clearly you've thought about vegan. Clearly you live that life. Hashtag living that vegan life. So it makes sense that people are talking about this. It makes sense that you are talking about this and they're following you. But giving this content to them means you're bringing all of these challenges to them. You're delivering this content to them. You're saying, you can do this. Thinking about your different stories across the top, linking it in with what you're saying at the top. I'm into fitness. I'm into cooking. I've got a YouTube channel. You're bringing them together to give them all sneak peeks of what they want, but you're delivering this message straight to them. So this is now going to be your turn to create a handle and a bio. So step 1 of this, why don't you write this down? Step 1, what are my skills, strengths, and experience? Write this down, skills, strength, experience. Maybe a few gaps in between it, a few lines, or a big blank space, or fill this in later. Then start to think, well, what could I put in my bio that I want people to sort of engage with here? So we talked about this with Fatima. We can see here, not Fatima, Sheena, sorry. We've got London vegan, recipe creator, get my cookbook now, and fitness. Find me on YouTube. She's put out all of her ideas here on the table so that people can see it. What does your target audience want to hear? So if you're thinking about people here, and we're thinking about this, especially when we're talking about Fatima before, customer service manager from Manchester, interesting content, marketing opportunities, boom. This is what people want to read. This is what she wants people to see, to interact. But actually, now that she knows she wants this, she's interested in opportunities in content marketing, well, why are you relevant for this? So you've got to say, you open university, which shows that you spent time outside of your life, on top of your life to get an education, which is amazing. BuzzFeed and HuffPost. So straight away, you now know what people are wanting to read about. So you're including that in there. Now, bring this all together. Give yourself 4 minutes and more after this as well to bring this together so that then you can have what it is that you are offering, what it is that you think could help people add more information to what it is that you're offering, what you're expecting them to hear, and then a call to action at the end. Use emojis if you want on things like Twitter and Instagram, even basic ones on LinkedIn, but please don't go to town. But once you've built this bio, now you've got to basically who you are, what you want them to do. And now all of a sudden, you've got this extra bit of searchable information. You've got this extra bit of content for people to react off. But it now means you're optimizing your opportunities to grow that goal that we talked about before. So have we had any questions yet? Still no questions. We've got one more section before we have no more question opportunities. So do feel free to get involved. So increase your online visibility. So how can we do this? So the next thing to do is, we've talked about this on Instagram. We've maybe talked about this on Twitter as well. But when we go to LinkedIn, it's also considering, well, could we add all this information to LinkedIn? If you haven't already, complete your profile. LinkedIn has literally, I think it's a 10-star system. where it literally says, well done, you're at 3-star, add this bits of information. Well done, you're at 6-star, add this bits of information. 1 more star to go, fill in these bits of information. These bits of information, fill in this bit of information, or these sections. But the reason for this is it's literally helping you optimize your LinkedIn profile. Once you've got all the basic content in there, then start to consider, right, here's people that I've been linked with. Could I give them, or could I request recommendations and skills from them? Put your best foot forward. Have you done it for them? And literally go, I've worked with Joe for X amount of years. We worked really well together. He was my manager and was amazing at customer service and taught me everything I know. Could not recommend his teamwork and work ethic anymore. Send. They have to accept it, a bit of feedback, you tweak it, done. Then you could go, would you mind writing me one? I'm not saying that you do 1,000 recommendations and expect 1,000 back. But the more you do for other people, often the more you'll get in return. And don't feel afraid to take that horse to water. If they're going to do a recommendation for you, they'll probably say, what do you want me to talk about? And if you're going for a job in digital marketing, please could you make sure you mention the 2 or 3 campaigns we work in digital marketing. Maybe if you can remember, or if you've got any analytics or any feedback around that, that is much appreciated. All of a sudden, they're now writing, I worked with Joe on 3 different digital marketing campaigns for the company. He worked as a direct link to an agency, but it felt like he was working in-house. His mannerisms, his time, his commitment was perfect for us as a company and grew our business and increased sales by 14%. Boom, mic drop. All of a sudden, that recommendation could literally get you a job. But what you've done is you ask that person to talk about certain things, because that's the stuff you want on your next adventure in life, that you want people to see you for. Don't just say, write me a recommendation and go, Joe is a great guy. Worked with him for 6 months. Amazing member of the agency who we work with who improved our sales. Doesn't say you did it. Doesn't say how you did it. So do spend this time developing this. Could we link to other profiles? Could we write content? Could we do articles just to expand that knowledge? And now you've started to expand your digital footprint because you're planning it. You're putting those golden footprints in the stand, maybe the bronze, maybe the silver. But either way, you've started to consider these different footprints to expand your digital presence. Tips to grow your network. Post unique, high quality content. So we're talking about golden footprints. Now we're starting to think about platinum footprints. So we're starting to think, right, the industry I'm in is digital marketing. At the moment, there is an absolute saturation of digital marketing in the world. It's too much information. So what could you do about this? You know what? I'm going to do a bit of research into different brands. I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking at some analytics, spend a bit of time looking at some metrics, and write some content around how maybe social or digital marketing could change. How if people spent more time understanding the audiences, they might get better feedback. They might get a better return of investment. Starting to play devil's advocate, sitting on both sides of the fence, talking about it, but writing a good bit of content with a solid conclusion, linking in maybe people that you've worked with who you've talked about it on the way. Have you maybe done some short interviews? Have you maybe got some opinions from other thought leaders? And then post that content, tagging in people, tagging in businesses that maybe have been involved. All of a sudden, this expands the reach of that article. People start liking it from these businesses, engaging with it. Great post. Great to see some quality research has been done here. I agree with this. I disagree with that. You're now commenting back to those posts. You're commenting back on those particular questions. You're getting people asking questions. You're getting people writing comments. Respond to those. Each time someone likes, engages, shares anything with that content, it is growing your network because people see you in front of it. They may not add you to their network straight away, but it could be stage 1 of 3. I've seen this person a few times now. Let me follow this person. Let me write to this person. Great knowledge, great articles. I'd like to have a conversation with you about how we could maybe improve our content. Boom. Now you're connecting with your audience. Now you've taken that extra step forward. You could also do the flip side of that and start connecting with people who you think are relevant to your industry, not just people that you've worked with before. But all of a sudden, you're directly now engaging with your audience. Be consistent with this. Don't say thanks to one person, not to another person. Don't post on a Monday every week and then not post for 6 weeks because you can't be bothered. If you're going away on holiday, could you spend an extra little bit of time the week before, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, like an extra 25, 30 minutes, developing some content. So when you're away, you can schedule that post. Consistency and regular is basically what people want from social media. They follow you because you're posting good content. They're connecting with you as an audience because they enjoy that content. They come back to you. There is the key word there. They come back to you because you post consistent good content. You post regular content. Some people have it like every Monday they listen to a certain podcast. They listen to the new episode that comes out. It's part of their routine. Imagine if you were part of someone's routine. Every Monday, I'm going to see that article that Joe's posted on social media about social media, a different angle of it, a different aspect of it. And yeah, you might burn a few hours during the week, but this could be your opportunity to have your own podcast that goes amazing, to have your own website, to have your own business, to develop other people's businesses by using this knowledge. So post high quality content, connect with your audience by understanding who they are, be consistent and post regularly. All of this content together is essentially what people look for when they're online. So when growing your network, comment, like, and react to other people's pages. You can't just be expecting the one-way traffic. If people are engaging with you, if you find that content engaging, please interact with it. It's a dangerous strategy. People just like content to get attention. But realistically, you want to reflect your own self, your true self. So comment and react with posts and pages that you actually think are going to benefit, that you are enjoying, that it is relevant to you. And then naturally, more information around areas that you're looking at will be apparent and you can learn and grow quicker. Be visual, use images and videos. If you've got time, can you have it so you're talking about something, you've got a presentation behind you, you've got a video there, you're just talking, you're just passing this information on, you're just going through the motions. But more importantly, you've made this content engaging. Could you build content to it? If you're going live, could you use stuff like Google Slides has got an option where you can ask questions, where you can do thumbs up, thumbs down. Could you take it one stage further? Could you use stuff like online tools to be able to ask quiz questions, to be able to engage directly with your audience? Could you tweet and post about things at a time scheduled in for people to react to, for people to engage with if they're watching it online? Could you make video content so you can go, just have a watch of this for a second? A great example of a TED talk here around how social media can develop a business. Take a snippet out of it, then talk about it. But what's amazing here is that you're bringing media into it. You're bringing interaction. You're bringing opinions. You're bringing different people into it, which means then it's not just a self-developing prophecy. You're actually developing other people's knowledge. You're using that to build other people's opinions. But most importantly, create opinions, create engagement. And by being visual, using images and videos, this is then going to hopefully get more people wanting to come back, watching that video on YouTube for longer, getting higher levels of engagement, getting more followers by just developing this. Use network tools to connect. So do feel free to literally use the tools like you've got on social media. Use stuff like BuzzSumo. This ranks content based on the amount of retweets and shares on the network. See if you can use this to find out what else is going quite well. Can you find other thought leaders? Twitter, for example, will literally show you who's got the most influence. Find interesting and relevant content to share. Really interesting point about this was, who was it? It was someone I listened to this morning. I think it was Ryan Gosling, for example. I think it was Peloton did an advert where a husband bought his wife a Peloton for Christmas. And it was seen a bit like, ooh, what are you suggesting there? And it sort of hit a really bum note. But what was really interesting is Ryan Gosling owns a social media firm that he then went, this is really interesting, and this is going to cause a big social media storm. So he then hired that person, found that person from the Peloton advert, booked them in, wrote a script, developed an advert very quickly to do with Aviation Gym, and basically had her cheersing to, I think, either divorcing or breaking up with her husband for suggesting that she needs to lose weight. But that went viral because he used a negative, instantly switched it on its head, used something relevant right now, used a bit of thought leadership, used his business to then push this advert out, which got massive traction because it used a little bit of something that was trending massive right then. So all of a sudden, these are options that you're not saying you can do that and you've got the actual power to do that, but you can see by spending that time and using tools that push these things forward. So rather than you just going onto Twitter and seeing what's interesting, BuzzSumo will rank the content for you to show you this. Feedly will help you select topics that interest you. And literally, you go onto Feedly, you can just add your topic areas and bring this to you. So you're not trawling through content. You're using your time effectively. The same as Pocket. This is additional sort of apps and websites that you can use that just give you these little bits of additional topic areas or information that you can read on the go, that you can read offline, depending on what you want. But all of these reduce the time it takes you to scroll to find information and gives it straight to you. And also, even looking at LinkedIn, following the people that you follow, seeing what they're posting about. It's all using tools and networks to be able to do this for you. So how could you use this information to apply for job seeking? So essentially, you could then spend that little bit of time to be able to look at LinkedIn jobs, adding this knowledge that you've got from LinkedIn job searches, from LinkedIn titles, from certain skills that are maybe on LinkedIn. So, for example, it could be that they're posting jobs on LinkedIn that are in your area. You found jobs that are a particular area of interest to you. Look at the keywords within this. Add these keywords to your LinkedIn profile. Individual brands as you're an individual, if you're just looking for jobs. If you're looking to expand maybe your brand, looking at this, researching around this, all of a sudden, you can definitely apply this knowledge by knowledge of keywords, knowledge of your research to be able to do this. Creating shareable content is another example of doing this. The more content that you create that is shareable with your audience, that they find interesting, the more it's shared. The more that it's shared, the more people that get engaged and could follow you, and the higher the traction, which means you're again growing your brand online. Things to consider when doing this: images with your updates. If you're just posting pure text, it's rare that gets traction. But actually adding images to this adds context. It can add up to 150% more retweets because it has something to latch onto. It adds a opinion, a theme, a direction that you're trying to suggest. It could be a funny face. It could be a sad face. It could be a background image. It could be anything. But just adding an image in the first place is something that is going to attract attention. Think about when you flick through your posts. Most of the time, an image is always present with them. And even on Facebook now, they've got background image where it's just text with an image. But it increases what people stop on, increases people's imagination, increases their, what's the word I'm looking for? But basically, they'll spot it because it's got an image that they may be able to link to their thought process. It's an exact word, but it's not coming to me. People's faces, up to 38% more likes, because it's just simple human instinct. Attention span was the word I was looking for. Sorry, people. Live broadcast videos. So what's interesting about this as well is that Facebook and other platforms want people to be able to use these platforms and therefore boost visibility of certain features. And one of these is live broadcasts. I know, for example, I had a friend who does fishing videos, and he did a live broadcast, and it popped up on my phone. I'm not talked to him in about a year, but it literally went, Connor is now live. And I was like, oh, wonder what he's doing. Watched the video, followed him doing some fishing, left a comment, had a call with him the week after. But all of a sudden, you think of that in a business context. If people are following your business, you're going live, you've got an opportunity there to literally get a notification for your business or you as a brand in front of people on the phone that goes ba-ding, rather than having to send a message. So straight away, it's about staying up to date with social media. It's super important to stay up to date because essentially all of these new tools that come out, stories, messaging, live features, filters, content, cutting, TikTok going from Facebook, whatever it is, you have to consider that these things change. And using these tools and using your knowledge to keep on top of this means you're staying on top of the trends, not sat in the past. So start to consider what platforms you will use, start to consider what you would actually want to do, and now start to consider actually, what could you do differently now? What is something that influences you as an individual on Facebook? What is something that makes you stop on a post on LinkedIn or you read an article? Then start to put links to these, start to build a little document around this and start to work out what are the similarities. And now spend a few minutes just sort of going, actually, that's an interesting point. Let me see what it is I enjoy about all these posts that I read. Now start to think, could you create content like this? Is it video content? Is it the fact that you can read it? Is it the fact that they've also got text on it so that if you're on a train, for example, you want to turn the volume off, you can still watch the video and engage with it? All of these little things are not difficult, but spending this time to take 2 steps back so you can eventually take 3 steps forward mean you're spending this time to develop what it is to you, to add imagery where possible, to get engagement where possible, and to use these newer tools to be able to make this easier for you to do. Develop your visual look and feel. Here you can see that people have spent that extra little bit of time just spending that to actually understand, well, what could I do here? A really good example of this is, say, VSCO. So this is an app where, for example, if you want a blue fade across it, if you want to lower the color, if you want the contrast to be slightly lower so that the colors are maybe stick out or don't stick out, but you've got a particular brand that your business is looking for, the issue is that if you've got a picture, you have to usually apply 3, 4, 5 filters to make it look how you want to look. And that's fine when you're working on 2 or 3 or 4 pictures. But if you're adding 10, 20, 30 pictures, that means you have to do that process 10, 20, 30 times. And there's 5 filters every time. So let's just say, for example, you've got 10 pictures. That's 50 actions you need to do, and then export each one to make that picture look like your branded picture. But what VSCO is great for is that you can add the filters to a folder and simply add the picture, and it applies all that process for you. So it now means instead of you doing, say, 50 actions, you can just do bulk upload, X pictures, insert, export. Done. So start to think of the quick wins. And stuff like look and feel is something that people are looking for. They'll recognize your images because it's got a certain tinge. It's got a logo in a certain location. It's got a certain theme to it that people quite like. But the main thing is just make sure when you're using your original photos that they're just good photos in the first place. Even if it means you're going on like Upsplash or Pixel, or you're taking them yourselves. But when it's finished, do a little bit of editing to make them look good for you. Other things you can do to try and get that little bit of interactive in social media, it could be polls. What would you like to see from our business? Updates coming next. What updates interest you? Would you like 1 update, 2 updates, 3 updates a week? Literally ask your direct customer. If you've got followers on social media, you can literally say to them, what do you want me to do? And then start to build this content around it. A really good example of this was a travel blogger who goes around the world, does nice little videos, and did some really good content. And she said, just struggling for ideas. So one of the ideas that I literally suggested to her was, why don't you do a poll? Where do you want to go next? Well, I want to go to Spain, to Barcelona. I want to go to Italy, to Rome, and I want to go to Iceland. I can't remember where she said. And I said, how about you put a poll on your social media, and for the next month when you go traveling, you let your audience decide. And she was like, oh. And then she posted stories around this idea, did the poll, posted the content online, shown her picking the destination that people have done, the process that she did in the stories, did posts about this, did a live stream saying, right, we're about to go live on this today. We've had 100 votes in the first 5 minutes. It's only going to be up for 10 minutes. But all of this content together built a buzz around an idea that she was going to go to Spain, Iceland, or Italy anyway. But now her audience is deciding. But all of a sudden, this got loads of engagement because people were like, no way I get to make an influence on where someone's going. But she was happy to go to any of them. But all of these have got these. There's polls on Instagram, polls on Twitter. You've got stories on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, posts on all the platforms, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitcher as well. But all of these are just ideas for you to do this. If you're struggling for the time to do this, if you don't know how, even have a look at the tools like StreamYard. You can literally do live streams to all of your feeds at a reasonable cost, but from one platform, making your time and life a lot easier. So it's your turn. What kind of content appeals to your target audience? Spend the time learning who your target audience is and what content they'd like. What message do you want to communicate? Because this is what they're going to bounce off. And what's your visual look and feel of your brand? And what's the best application video editing is a great question. Having a look, for example, YouTube video editor. If you can get Premiere Pro, it's paid for, but it's not cheap. But essentially, I would just say use a platform that you've got access to. A GoPro is a great way of building content, and it's got amazing video editing content in there for you as well. But I'd say YouTube video editor is a really good place to start. Canva have also built in a video editor as well. So do have a look at that. It's not what is the best, it's which one best suits your needs, because there's no individual answer to that. Either way, thank you so much, everybody, for today. Feel free to go to g.co/UK mentoring to grab some additional mentoring from the Google Digital Garage trainers. Thank you for your time. Please do go to goo.goal/digital garage feedback and give us your feedback of what you thought about today's session. Annie, as usual, thank you very much for moderating and getting involved. Everybody who turned up and got involved, thank you for being there. And hopefully we'll see you again at the Google Digital Garage.